Where can you use these units and what skills do you need to get on them? We're going to talk about all that, but IS definitely did not make my job easy this time around. We have some real highlights though. We're going to go over some unique things that each of them do. But let me know in the comments, are you targeting any of these units? Particularly Fjorm has some really interesting things. We're going to get into her right here. One of the big things you need as an Omni tank right now is Null Counter Disrupt, and this unit has it. This unit is better than we give her credit for. The problem is she came out in a sea of God Swords at the very end with Emblem Ike there, and Emblem Ike stands above all others, where this kind of sits in the middle of that. That doesn't mean that with the right skills this unit can't perform though. Frostbite Mirror is another very interesting thing with non-pierceable DR and a lot of other things. Just remember that you have to keep Frostbite Mirror procced for what is to come. Let's go over how you would build this unit. Now, there aren't a whole lot of options you have for her, to be honest, and the biggest thing is LAGUZ Friend 4. That is the skill. That is amazing on her. Remember that it doesn't require the 3 cooldown if it's a defensive special, which Frostbite Mirror is. You combine that with Emblem Ike, and this unit can do a lot of damage and can be a lot of fun. We're going to go over the Sims in just a second, but the big thing you want to pair her with is someone like Lumera so that she can take on any kind of AoEs. Those have become very common because of Emblem Ike. So all the teams are going to be going after Emblem Ike with all of their blue heroes. Can this unit stand up against them? I will say that I do like an Incite attack speed. What I find is that her speed isn't enough right now. The super speedy units still can outspeed her, so she really needs to be pushed to the edge on that. What I will say though, is it is easy to get some kind of special cooldown through, for instance, an Asker bonus unit. You can take base kit Asker bonuses, and like Sharena with infantry pulse, Alphonse and Anna can do the same thing. It's a great way to get that cooldown, and once she gets going, she generally does pretty well. As far as arena goes, this unit scores a 762, which is actually pretty respectable. So if you want to make this unit into an arena bot, that you can definitely do that. I will say, even if you're using her in arena, I like the Omni tank build better. But this is an interesting thing here with attack speed Bulwark, which comes with healing, which she desperately needs. Infantry follow-up, which gives you some warping and is fantastic in arena, and of course attack speed Clash. Let's get into the Sims though. We talked about how you're doing this unit, and Lumera is excellent because of the Divine Vein Stone she can give, and that is how you're getting that resistance to AoEs. You can see that with her matchup with a green. Now the other thing is you're going to need summoner support and some source of null follow-up, but again, that's not too terribly hard to get in this day and age. Moving on to the actual matchups here, Ivy is the speedy tank that you want to watch out for. 11 health left is not great. That being said, Ivy is not terribly common right now. I think she is an excellent unit, but she doesn't do well versus Ike. And basically, if you don't do well versus Ike, you're not used a whole lot. The Leon matchup is really astounding, and I was pleasantly surprised with this. Surviving with 27 HP doesn't sound like a lot, but even surviving Leon right now is incredible. You're kind of seeing a common theme here, though. You survive Sanaki with 36, Agreen with 30. This is fantastic if you have to tank one of them. The problem is if you have to tank 2. And this is why really on top of all this, you would actually like Hortensia as well. The problem with that is that fills out your slots, and we've seen this where you have to go all out for a unit in order to make them good, and it's why this unit is more situational than just amazing in her own right. She needs so many different supports that you run out of room and you end up having to have the mythic bonus. Now, if you have that, then Hortensia is great here and Lumera is great here, and you go there for and conquer. But you also need healing. Essentially what you end up doing is having to run 2 teams with this unit. Still, these are really respectable matchups right here. As far as the skills you're looking at, LAGUZ Friend 4 is just it. I mean, if you can get LAGUZ Friend 4, everything else kind of falls out. I will say I am a huge fan of Bonus Doubler 4 and have been becoming more of a huge fan. This could change if we see lulls suddenly come on in the meta. I'm not so sure about that though. I think that will be just fine. And bonus doubler 4 has that whole thing where as long as you're within 2 spaces of someone who has buffs, then you still get the doubler effect. So, I mean, that's still really good, and I'm a big fan of this. Inside attack speed, the C skill there is kind of optional as to what you want to do, but inside attack speed generally gives you the most attack and speed. So I have that as a preference there. I looked at the pledge skills, but the half tempo that you get from Lumera kind of makes those not as useful. If you don't have Lumera though, that's definitely an option. I will say I'm not as big of a fan of Panic Smoke 4. I know a lot of people like that. The issue is it doesn't take effect until the second combat, and the first one is always the hardest. So I'd go inside attack speed, but there are some other options, and we see the alternate build here that we just talked about. My second pick would definitely be infantry null follow-up. I am a huge fan of the skill in general. It makes this unit self-sufficient, which we talked about using this unit in arena, and that is a very nice thing to have this unit come with null follow-up and be able to give it out to any infantry units that you have as far as score bots. It should come as no surprise that this is the build that I would be going for. Bonus doubler 4, LAGUZ friend 4. Basically, if you don't get LAGUZ friend 4, don't get this Forma. That's how important that skill is to this unit. Let's talk about Gunnthra though. There was a time when Chilling Seal 2 was incredible. This was the most amazing debuffing skill on the planet, and this unit could go therefore and conquer. And then we got all sorts of other things that are way better. And this unit has been power crept upon power crept upon power crept. We talked about this a little in the support tier list, but this is what I'm talking about with support skills and support units. This was a unit that was good at supporting the team by debuffing the other team, but because it wasn't unique, this unit didn't have good staying power long term, and right now she has a lot of trouble taking out units. Let's look at some possible teams though that can make her good. The biggest thing here is cav lines, and that's where this unit was just made for. Now this is kind of an interesting thing, seeing Brash Assault 4 over something like Occultist Strike. Occultist Strike has that burn damage that is so good, but she needs a second hit and she doesn't have a follow-up in her weapon. So many units right now don't have full null follow-up, and she can really take advantage of that. And you're gonna see that in the Sims in just a bit. Now, does she need a ton of help from everyone else? Absolutely. On a cav line, having to run Camilla can be very difficult. So I still like this build a lot. Flared Sparrow and the Ploy is amazing, but the other option is a support build, and this is kind of fun where you just res stack the crap out of this unit and get Sabotage and Ploy and debuff the enemy even more than her original skills allowed you. It also plays into what her weapon does, basically taking the debuffs on the other team and taking them in as damage on this unit. Having all that packaged along with her being a cav means that you can run around and get pots at the end of a map, for instance. The last build is just the bonus unit in arena, and not everyone has G-Dual cav. If you don't, Flared Sparrow will be great, but on those rotations where she comes into play, this is something that will get you over the hump. Ruptured Sky is just a necessity there, and G-Dual cav is I mean, if you have it, you can give it to her, but I think it's only on Odor right now, and as bad as Odor is, I'm not sure you want to sacrifice him for this. He is getting a refine soon. Cultist Strike does give you a little extra damage. I prefer Brash Assault, but this is kind of a side grade. And then Insight Attack Speed helps you get a little more attack out of this unit. Remember, the goal as a bonus unit is to give this unit just enough so that they can actually kill another unit. That becomes very hard with a lot of these older legendaries, especially ones that haven't aged as well, like Gunnthra. Let's look at some Sims though. So this is that cav line build that I was talking about, and listen, I know what you guys are gonna say. You guys are all smart people, and you can see I have stacked the deck in my favor. This is not unheard of though. This is the way you would want to run her if possible. Now you notice essentially the other team is getting buffed and then panicked and then debuffed. Now that's still possible, understand that, but the problem is that strategy requires the other team to set up their opponents in just the appropriate way. That doesn't always happen. It's hard to funnel units in a way that lets you do that. If you can though, I mean, you see this unit taking out Byleth and Sita and Myrrh. That's really impressive. So for the debuff stacking opponents, this is a unit that can go in and really do some cleanup. Does this unit take out Ike? No, absolutely not. But for a lot of other units, she can be there for you and can help you take out things like annoying units that are trying to unity stack. As far as the skills, we've talked about it with the Cav line being the Flared Sparrow, Brash Assault 4, Attack Res Ploy. I like that bunch quite a bit there. I think it's good for this unit. The other option there, the support option, is of course the Stillwater 4, which is easier to get than some of these other things. It's a little more readily available. You might want to pick something up that's more rare, but if you're wanting this unit to work out of the box that way, Stillwater 4 is your first pick. And then of course the Attack Res Ploy or Attack Speed Ploy, depending on what you're going after. The last is that arena build with, I think I've got Remote Mirror on here because you can't get G-Dual Cav for some weird reason, Occultist Strike, and of course Incite Attack Speed. All of these builds will work. As far as my favorite though, I definitely like the Brash Assault 4 build. I think it works well with what she's going to do. Combine that with a ploy and you've got kind of a mix between a unit that is still debuffing the enemy and taking advantage of that, but also able to hit hard. I also think this unit will stand up decently in arena, enough at least for you to get a bonus kill and be happy that way. Okay, we want to talk about a unit that hasn't aged well. Hrid is tough. To be a melee cav right now, I want you to think about the melee calves that are aging like Seliph. And then you look at Hrid. So this unit is tough to use, and the thing is, a lot of the stuff that this unit does has been power crept wholly by other pieces. Freezing Seal splashing guard over the opponent is really nice, along with the attack defense buff. Now this weapon is actually sneaky good, and the thing it's doing is turning bonuses on the opponent into penalties, and specifically in arena. That is incredibly powerful. The reason being, everyone gets bonuses in arena because of the rally ups and rally pluses that you have to use. It makes this unit hit harder than you think it would, but let's go over some builds and teams. Essentially what I'm saying here is the only reason you're going to get Hrid is if you are going to be using this unit as a bonus on his bonus week. And I mean, that's valid. That is a valid way to use your Formas if you have extra ones laying around. No quarter is probably going to be the thing you want though. I have Ruptured Sky up here. That's something you can look at, but really you want no quarter. The other thing is, specifically for arena, I really like the trace skills. Being able to hit someone and then run away, particularly with Speed Res Near Trace 4, is very nice, and that gives you a little bit of extra distance. I have Incite Attack Speed. Really, Incite Attack anything is fine. So in the Incite Attack Res is fine as well. There's not very many times you're going to be going up against dragons and living. So the Incite Attack Res isn't quite as useful as possibly speed stacking past a unit, but probably not because 23 speed is really abysmal. Scoring 756 is also painful, but hey, if this is your unit, this is probably the way you're going to build them. So let's talk about this unit as an arena bonus, because I think that's where most people are going to want to use him. What I've got here is an Omni 6 and a bonus unit status, which is giving a lot of extra stats here. This is a +1 because I don't know many people that have a +10 Hrid. The reason I do have the Red Dual Cavalry skill is because that was given away at codes. If you don't have that, I think you'd probably prefer the game experience, but it's not going to score as well. But you're seeing kind of what this unit is going to be able to do. He hits hard enough that he's going to be able to take a lot of the medium bulky to not bulky at all units. Alencia was a little bit of a surprise, but he does one-shot her with this kit. Leon, it takes 2 hits, but this unit has an auto follow-up, which is very nice. Same thing with Sather. Sather has very low defense, especially if you res stack her, so it's not a hard thing to be able to take her out. Now, you get into the high side of medium bulky, which is why I put this Yuri in here. And yes, this Yuri is stacked to high heaven, but I mean, Yuri fans are going to be doing this. The bigger point, though, is that this unit only has 36 defense, and even with LAGUZ Friend 4, it is kind of surprising that he is able to survive this Hrid with 2 attacks coming at him. That's about where you're going to have to draw that line. You're going to want to be able to save a squishy unit for this unit to be able to take out at the end of a match in Arena. You're probably only going to be able to get kills that way. It makes him a little harder to use, but I mean, I have had worse times, and I will say that at least having an updated kit makes him better and easier to use in Arena. So I've got some things you can do with him here, and we talked about it, but no quarters probably what you're going to want. I really like speed defense near trace, and any of the insight skills are excellent. As far as the support cav, it's a lot of the same thing I was doing with Gunnthra, where you have this unit have a Ruse 4 skill in this case because he can't stack res, and otherwise he is just going around and stopping Bridal Catria because, she hasn't been stopped enough already. And then being able to Canto away because of Alarm Attack Defense, which I'm also a pretty big fan of that skill. As far as the grab bag, you can do Gambit for an Aether. This unit just doesn't have enough bulk. You probably won't be very happy with the results, but it is something you could do if you want kind of a memey fun build, which I mean, I'm all about that as well. And if you are just using him in Hall of Forms, I think that Gambit 4 build would be a lot of fun to use just there. My pick is definitely the Flared Sparrow SD Near Trace 4 build. I think this is going to make things easier in Arena, and I'm all about making things as easy as possible in Arena. All right, and in an effort to help you spend your Formas wisely, this is the predictions from Mina, who is amazing. You can see May, and we definitely did get Fjorm and Hrid. In June, we are almost assuredly getting Marth. July is interesting, and this is an and/or situation. This is Milla and Duma, which would both be really interesting units to get. Particularly Milla with a kit upgrade can go a long way. And last, I would love it if we got LAGUZ in November. I think this is still a very good unit to use, and I look forward if I'm able to make a video on that. So I'm crossing my fingers, and hopefully we'll see LAGUZ coming up. Summoners, I hope you had a good time with this. These are harder units to use, but at least Summer Fjorm is a lot of fun there. If you're interested in more about support units, which we talked about in this, I just did a tier list with them. Go check that out. Members, you are amazing. Thank you for all you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.